The phone didn't buzz at 3:17 a.m. It just sat there, face up on the kitchen table, glowing like a tiny rectangle of accusation. I'd been staring at it for 43 minutes straight, my stomach twisted into a knot so tight I could barely breathe. Third rejection. Third time this month. Third time getting to the final round of Zoom calls, third time letting myself believe maybe this was the one, third time watching the inbox refresh and feeling the slow corrosion of hope when you've done everything right, prayed, fasted, trusted, declared, stood on promises, and still the door stays shut. The coffee I made at midnight is cold. Shocker. My wife is asleep upstairs. She still believes in me, which somehow makes it worse. 18 months ago, I told her this business was going to change everything. I told her the funding was secured. I told her we'd finally breathe. Then a Thursday afternoon happened. 17 minutes on a phone call. The partner who'd looked me in the eye and said, "We're in this together," suddenly wasn't in this together. The investors followed. The contracts that were, basically signed, evaporated like steam off that cold coffee I'm still pretending I'll drink. 2 years of building. Gone in 17 minutes. And now here I am, 4:07 a.m., unshaven, tired, eyes rimmed red, a man who looks exactly like someone who's been fighting a battle he's losing. The refrigerator hums from the kitchen like a low-grade anxiety soundtrack. I've got Isaiah 54 verse 17 pulled up on my Bible app, and I'm staring at it like it owes me an explanation. No weapon forged against you will prevail. I want to throw my phone across the room. Because here's the thing nobody told me in Sunday school, the weapon did get forged. It got forged, sharpened, aimed, and fired. It hit me square in the chest 18 months ago, and I've been bleeding out ever since. The business collapsed. The savings vanished. The reputation took a hit I'm still recovering from. So don't tell me no weapon will be forged. I've got the scars to prove otherwise. Let me ask you something. Right now, in this moment, where are you? Not geographically. I mean, where are you in your soul? Because maybe you know this feeling. Maybe you're sitting in your own kitchen with your own cold coffee and your own stack of bills and your own version of a weapon that already landed. Maybe you've been praying the same prayers, standing on the same promises, and feeling like the silence of God is the loudest sound you've ever heard. That's where I was at 4:07 a.m. when something shifted. Not a voice. Not a vision. Not a burning bush in my kitchen. Just this quiet, almost annoying nudge that made me flip over to Ephesians 6 verse 13. You know the verse, the armor of God passage. But I'd always read it too fast, skipping past the part that would crack me open. Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. After you have done everything. To stand. I read it 5 times. Then 6. Then I started laughing, not because it was funny, but because I'd been treating God's promises like a force field that was supposed to keep the weapons from ever being forged in the first place. I'd been believing for a life where nothing bad happens, where doors don't slam, where partners don't betray, where rejection emails don't arrive at 3:17 in the morning. But that's not the promise. The promise isn't that weapons won't be formed. The promise isn't that you won't get hit. The promise is that the weapon will not prevail. It will not have the final word. It will not destroy what God has called yours. Here's the mirror moment I didn't want to face. I've been measuring God's faithfulness by whether or not I got struck. But the armor of God was never designed to keep you from the battle. It was designed to keep you standing in the middle of it. The heritage, the inheritance, the thing God has promised you, that's not the absence of warfare. That's the result of surviving it. Let me take you back 18 months. When that phone call ended and I sat in my car gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white, I thought God had abandoned me. I thought the silence meant he'd left the room. But what if the silence wasn't abandonment? What if it was the sound of a father who knew his child was about to learn something that could only be learned in the fire? What if every weapon that's been forged against you, every betrayal, every closed door, every rejection, every diagnosis, every midnight you've spent staring at the ceiling wondering if God even sees you, what if none of it gets to write your ending? I'm not going to lie to you and say I got the job. I didn't. I'm not going to pretend the business revived or the money showed up in a miraculous deposit. That's not where this story goes, at least not yet. But something happened in that kitchen at 4:07 a.m. that was more important than a job offer. I stopped asking God to remove the weapon and started asking Him to remind me that it can't destroy me. I stopped begging for the battle to end and started thanking Him that I was still standing in it. That's the pivot. That's the shift from victim to warrior. Not because the circumstances changed, but because the posture did. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, wherever you are, in your car, in your kitchen, in your parking lot, in your hospital waiting room, I want you to name the weapon. Say it out loud. The divorce. The diagnosis. The bankruptcy. The addiction. The betrayal. The failure. The shame. The thing that hit you so hard you weren't sure you'd get back up. Now say this will not prevail. This will not have the final word. This will not destroy what God has called mine. Because the truth, the memorable truth I'm carrying out of this season, is that God's protection doesn't mean the storm never comes. It means the storm doesn't get to decide how the story ends. Let me pray for you. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, I come before you right now not with polished words or religious formulas, but with the raw honesty of someone who knows what it feels like to be hit and wonder if you're still there. I lift up every person reading this whose weapon has already landed. The one who lost the business. The one who got the divorce papers. The one sitting in the doctor's office waiting for results. The one who can't remember the last time they slept through the night. I place their exhaustion under your grace. I place their doubt under your mercy. I place their fear under the shadow of your wings. Lord, I'm not asking you to remove every battle. I'm asking you to remind them that the battle belongs to you. I'm asking you to strengthen the knees that are buckling, to steady the hands that are shaking, to quiet the mind that's been running worst-case scenarios on a loop since 3:17 this morning. Remind me, that the weapon may have been forged, but it will not prevail. Not because we're strong enough. Not because we prayed the right prayer. But because you are faithful, and your word does not return void. In the name of Jesus, I declare over every person reading this, the weapon will not have the final word. The rejection will not define you. The failure will not be your legacy. The silence of God is not His absence, it's the sound of Him working on something you can't see yet. Stand. Not because it's easy. Not because it makes sense. But because the armor holds. Because the one who called you is faithful. Because after you've done everything, standing is still an act of war. May the Lord bless you and keep you, right in this moment when the numbers on the clock blur into the early hours and hope feels like a frayed rope. May He make His face shine upon you in the parking lots and the hospital rooms and the kitchens with cold coffee. May He give you peace that doesn't make sense, strength that doesn't quit, and the unshakable knowing that the weapon, no matter how sharp, no matter how close, will not prevail. This is not the end of your story. This is the part where you learn to stand.